The following content is for informational purposes only. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Alia, its affiliates, or any organizations represented by the participants. Nothing discussed should be construed as financial, legal, or investment advice.
Welcome to Market Cap, where we feature firms and funds to explore the thinking that guides them, the patterns they observe, and other forces moving in markets. I'm your host, Stefano, Director of Institutional BD at Alea, and with me I have Ali Boukhalfa, Head of Emerging Markets at P2P.org. Founded in 2018, P2P.org provides non-custodial staking infrastructure and technology for intermediaries such as wallets, exchanges, and custodians. They are a leading institutional-grade staking provider delivering maximum network rewards with secure access to emerging opportunities across 40-plus blockchain networks. Ali, welcome on the show. Great to have you with us.
Hello, Stefano. Hello, everyone. Well, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. And looking forward to having a great conversation with you.
Absolutely. Let's dive right back into it. I think you're back just 1 week from MENA Blockchain Week. How was that?
Correct. Yeah. Despite the situation in the Middle East, where we unfortunately had to cancel Token 2049 this year, we still managed to organize some local events. MENA Blockchain Week was one of it. It was very good. Very I would say local crowd, familiar faces. It was good to reconnect with pretty much all the people here that were back in town. And vibrant topic, vibrant panels and discussions, lots of things about institutional adoptions. I mean, like as we are carrying into this path for 1-2 years now. Also, some more innovative topic around RWA, tokenization of financial products, yield is coming very, very often, and the infrastructure that is kind of shaping all of that. And it was cool. Had a chance to participate to roundtable with also our local regulators, VARA and ADGM, the main two, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And had fun on a panel with my fellows from Coinbase, Hedgeit, Laser Digital, and who was the last one? She's gonna kill me if I forget her. No, sorry, it was my friend from Polygon, but he couldn't join actually, so that's why I almost forgot about him.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's very good to hear that. Yeah, as you said, despite like the cancellation of the big one, right, of Token, you still have these more local events going on, that things are not completely stopping despite the very disruptive situation, obviously, right there on the grounds right now. So that's very good to hear. Yeah,
Builders never stop. Builders never stop.
well, the show must go on, right? Like the show must go on. The
Absolutely, yeah.
economy can't stop running. So, and I
Exactly.
think Dubai and the Middle Eastern region is is definitely like a key hub in the global economy, and therefore also in digital assets, right?
Correct. Yeah, we saw the last 2-3 years more and more headquarters from global companies being established here. We can mention some of the big names in the crypto space, Binance, Bybit, but also some big institutions from America that came in Abu Dhabi ADGM. You have like giants like Breven, Howard, those big American giants that are now also represented in Abu Dhabi, and very, very exciting time to be here in the region. Very, I would say, fast, forward thinking people here with a government that is quite supportive also on the initiative, and very innovative. So not only you have like the tools to build in the space, but you have also the support from the regulators and yeah, the government entity. So makes it like and
Definitely.
it's a nice place to live, whether you are like in your early 20s or like me in your almost early 40s with wife and kids. It's a good place to live and work and build for sure.
Absolutely. I was there last year. It's an amazing city. It's like they're
Yeah,
building the future. So all the more reason for us to hope that the situation will be resolved very soon.
yeah.
Um,
And
your
I take a minute to wish Eid Mubarak to all the people here in the region and
very
the entire Muslim community in the world. And yeah, my thought also goes to the people that unfortunately are not in a safe and stable place right now. Hope they can still have like a blessing celebration today. It was important to think about.
It is. That's very considerate. I appreciate that. Um, moving on a little bit from the region to actually your background, your work for P2P. We're going to talk about P2P and the work you do for them. But your background is in engineering and enterprise sales. I think that's a very interesting. Like I love seeing these type of profiles in our industry.
Mm,
People come with actual real world experience from other industries. But maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what it was that you were specifically doing, your
mm.
activities, and also how did that lead to p2p.org? Because I believe that was um, your first position, your first role in this specific industry. So very curious how that came about.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a good question, and it would be a a good way to start our conversation. Let me go back like perhaps 15, yeah, let's say 20 years ago. Um, 18, just leaving high school. And frankly speaking, I was not even thinking about going into the tech industry or the finance or the blockchain, all those things. I had no idea what that was even existing. I dream of being like a professional boxer. That was like the first career path I had in mind. So I had the
No.
chance to compete as an amateur boxer, but it appears that I was also good in math and science, and somehow, very interested in everything related to high tech, new technologies, etc. I was the kid with the glasses, the kid with the glasses that like to read, that like to play with all those gadgets, wanted to think about what was behind that. So yeah, it was quite funny. But after being graduated, I understood that boxing is not gonna, fill the fridge or give me a career unless you go on the path to Anthony Joshua or those guys that really take it to a serious level. And I started my career in the tech industry, working for big software vendors, serving the financial services industry. Had a chance to work for Oracle for 5.5 years. Then I worked for different vendors, and my my crypto story was quite funny actually. In 2014, I had like a geeky friend that started to talk to me about Bitcoin, and I was also kind of curious to read about that, thinking about like the history of money, how all those
Yeah.
changes when they occur bring like changes and revolution in our society, the impact that it has on the financial system and in the world in general. So, but
Yep.
at that time I was just mainly reading about it, trying to understand. It was quite hard to find I would say like a reliable uh, information about it. But yeah, just kept an eye on it, and it's really in 2017 that I started to go in the crypto space on a personal level. Started to invest in Ethereum, Ripple also at that time, trying to also uh, v- v- um, picture the future of cross-border payment, etc. And then I after one bear market, 2018, I said, okay, now I really need to deep dive into it and really learn about the technology. And what really made me make this move from software to the blockchain crypto industry, I would say is one frustration that I had when I worked for software vendors. We were like already working with big enterprises, institution on cloud adoptions, like digitalization of their processes, etc. And but all the companies, Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, they're like really mature companies. And I was saying to myself, man, if only you were 15, 20 years younger, you would have been at the beginning of it. And eventually what happened is that when I started to read about blockchain and deep dive into it, I said, you know what, feels like either that's something that's gonna disappear, but I didn't believe so. I said a new revolution is coming, so I really deeply wanted to move into that space, be part of it, as I believe a revolution was coming. And I said, yeah, I'm going to put all this passion and this energy into work. And I started, being more involved in the space while working in the software industry, trying to be part of some projects, sometimes as a freelance, sometimes as part of a community, etc. And then I had the chance to join P2P in 2024. What I really liked about P2P is, my the way I wanted to be in the industry, uh, being on a validator infrastructure level gives you like a holistic view of the different ecosystems. And because I was still in this learning curve, I thought it would be like a great path. And then I met visionaries, leaders, and an amazing team, very smart people, smart and talented people, passionate. And I said, well, I mean, like, I'm really going to learn a lot with those people. And that's why I'm still, more than excited and convinced that this is just the beginning of a brilliant decade ahead. So that's pretty much where I'm coming from, and where I want to go.
That resonates deeply on a lot of levels, actually. So um I could totally relate about what you said. First learning about finance and like the history of money and stuff like that. This is a great book by Neil Ferguson, The Ascent of
Correct.
Money, where
Yeah.
right, you
Yeah.
read it. Okay. So I started reading that, like, I was in a different career track as well. And then I figured out, okay, I want to do something more serious. And I knew I wanted to like work in markets and finance,
Mhm.
but it was still like so far away from me. And I read that book. And similarly to you, what you were saying about like the crypto industry or digital assets or whatever you want to call it now, I felt that there was an opportunity there
Mhm.
to get in at the ground level, right? While
Correct.
things are still happening and moving, and you don't need like a heavy background in, like degrees from like big universities and have a master in finance or anything like that. You could just like learn as you go throughout the years and build your experience. So that's that's very, I think I get that you say that is exciting because it is,
Yeah.
because you go from a very established industry to
Mhm.
something that's very fast, very agile, very fast moving. And I guess talking about that, like I always like to ask this question because I like to ask what people took from that previous experience
Mhm.
that still applies to the work that they do right now, especially when they come from another industry. But
Yeah.
talking about fast moving, you also mentioned boxing, where you also have to be very fast moving. I'm also I do Muay Thai. I love martial arts. So I wanted to ask you that question as well. So what have you taken from engineering and enterprise
Yeah.
sales that you apply right now? And is there anything from boxing that you feel you apply to your work at P2P and in this industry?
Yeah. That's a very interesting question. I would say, from engineering and more in general from those big corporations, you learn how to be, strictly organized, rigorous in
Yeah.
your work. You learn also to not only do like surface level work, but do in depth, efforts, and trying to understand everything behind what you can see on the surface. That's typically, like the methods of engineering, and that those big companies apply. That's how they also scaled. Something that was also what I consider as a big change is the chance to have worked with amazing clients, big enterprises, big banks, asset managers. Some of the names I can mention: BNP Paribas, for example. They're like one of the top 10 banks in the world, and one of the largest in France, for example. So
Yeah.
so so you learn how complex it is to position like a new, not just a solution, but a new value proposition that will completely reshape the way those companies will operate on a certain level. And that, for me, that was a very, I would say, educative path, working for those big companies and having those type of clients. And today, when we are moving from, let's say, a more crypto native niche market to a institutional, like a play, those skills and experience directly apply. And from I would say the world of boxing, or my, sport and competitive spirit, I would say the main thing is resilience. You never take things for granted. You train hard, so you are ready on the day, and you win. You barely have the time to celebrate that. You need to go back to training for the next milestone. And if you lose, you don't have time to neither cry. You just want to. You need to work harder to understand the why. What do you need to do better, etc. And that's with that mindset that I also took my career path, I would say, being a competitor, but also being like a hard worker, because it's not only about achieving big things and be better than anyone, etc. The first person you need to beat is yourself. You need to be every day better than the version you were the day before. And that's and in this industry where things are constantly changing, things cannot be taken as granted, because the market is moving too fast. You need this resilience, but also this ability to face those new challenges, those changes, and typically be back to be ready to work harder on something new. So you are always ready. So yeah,
Absolutely. No days off, as they say,
yeah,
especially in this, as you said, it's so fast moving. Things are changing so fast. You can never just sit back and lean back, you know?
yeah,
Um, one lesson that uh, I've taken from martial arts, especially as well, is the the balance between being relaxed and being uh ready, let's say.
yeah,
You know, like in martial arts, you have to be ready, you have to be sharp, but if you're too sharp, you start making mistakes as well. So
yeah,
yeah, actually when you relax,
yeah,
that's when you loosen up, that's when things come natural, that's when things
yeah,
start flowing. And that happens in this industry as well, especially
yeah.
when the
It's true.
markets are crazy and things are bad. You have to keep a cool head. You need to stay
Yeah,
relaxed, but at the same time, you need to stay active. Like you said, you need to keep moving.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Being
there's
composed, basically being composed
composed.
and composed. Yeah, I think that's exactly that. Yeah, you need to be ready. You need to be yeah. I see, almost like ready to go battle, but not head down. Really like composed. Really thinking about every angle. That's true, and that's something that is even more applicable to martial arts versus fight sports. And like I haven't practiced, proper martial arts, but was really into. I grew up with Bruce Lee movies, etc. So I was really also into all this martial arts. My boy is 7. He's already a blue belt in karate, and I basically, share this passion with him, and now I'm growing with him on the road of martial arts, which is amazing.
That's perfect, man. By the way, like I bunch them together. Like to me, like boxing and Muay Thai, striking arts is form of martial arts,
Mm.
doing jiu-jitsu as well. So it's funny, people would maybe not think it that like something like martial arts can relate to like our work in digital assets,
Absolutely,
but it
absolutely, yeah.
does, you know,
Mm.
it does.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that work. P2P. Of course, you guys are a staking provider, but maybe you could talk a little bit more about because I want to learn about the context and the landscape of what
Mm.
you guys do, your stakeholders, your challenges. Let's start off with like what is your current offerings and what's your business model, basically?
Yeah. No, absolutely. One thing that is important to always keep in mind is you have the state of the market demands, and basically the obligation as a business. And you will understand why I'm saying that, because historically we started as a staking provider, running
Right.
validators, supporting many different chains. I mean, like from Solana, that was testnet 2018. We were part of the first validator in mainnet 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Then we started to support more and more POS chain. Then Ethereum became like a proof of stake chain as well. And yeah, so we let's say spend like the first years being like a what we can call like a pure staking provider, and supporting more and more chains. Then 2023, 2024, more and more L1s came in the game. So the one of the strategy was to support them, to make sure that all the early investors or the VCs and all those token holders that had their token vested could also find a way to not only generate revenue but also secure the blockchain about to be launched. Because let's not
Yeah.
forget that the main purpose of staking is to secure a network. And why I'm insisting on that is that even though today the business model doesn't seem to be that appealing, which is true, the market is really getting commoditized. It is
Yeah.
still, and I believe, and I'm sure it will still be one of our core offering, because we have like also a responsibility as a validator to keep providing like staking services, because that's the most important feature of the decentralized finance. I mean, like without validators, you cannot properly secure a chain. And the demand is still here. It's just that the economics behind it change, which means that as a business, if you want to keep growing and sustain and keep the innovation, we also need to, I would say, solve more complex products. That's how we
Mm,
growing and make more margin as a business. So when most of the people beforehand came to staking providers to secure their assets and generate yields. Now we have a different crowd that come and talk to us. Some banks, neobanks, some big institutions that are handling millions of assets for family offices, for sometimes government-backed entities, etc. So those companies have different requirements that simply what's the yield, what's the fees.
yeah.
And today, most of the first questions, funny it is, comes from, for example, the risk officers. And they're asking question like, can your infrastructure pass an external audit? How can you deliver granular reports of every single elements of rewards for regulatory fillings. How can you make our compliance less stressed or less anxious by delivering, solutions that are also certified with all the and that respect all the regulatory constraints, whether it's DORA, MiCA, all those regulation constraints. So as a business, we also had to make our uh, offering evolving, and not only providing infrastructure nodes, but really the complete infrastructure, or I can even say the platform that institutions can trust. And on top of it, data solutions, also many different, let's say, mechanisms to allow those institutions to have access into the world of DeFi in a secured and compliant way. So beyond our staking offering, now we don't only talk about staking, but yield in general. Think about like a yield engine with a lot of security mechanisms that can be called like enforcement layer, to make sure that that you have also the compliance and the and regulatory uh, uh, level of requirements, and also um, the right way to integrate with those platforms, whether they are custodies or banks and neobanks, to give access to the world of DeFi. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you have like any specific question here, but that's pretty much where
Yeah.
the market is going, and how we are also adjusting our portfolio of offerings.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, as the market is maturing and these different
Mm,
players are coming in with different requirements and expectations, it
mm,
makes sense that yeah, you start with a certain core offering, but over time, as you say, you start actually offering all the elements around it that
mm.
especially those more established serious players need for
Right.
their compliance, for their risk department,
Mm,
for the security needs to be on point, custody, etc. All these things start coming into play. So you already start mentioning like these neo banks and family offices that you're dealing with. So what are you already mentioned quite an array of different ones. How would you maybe categorize them, or how would you, if I would ask you to talk about like your counterparties,
mm.
like how would you talk about them in a way that makes sense? And is there still like um a very like are there big how should I say that? Are there more similarities, or are there still a lot of big differences? Like for example, maybe you mentioned like the family offices that you might have very different conversations with them
Mm.
than you might have with like crypto native hedge funds or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe the conversations are actually more similar than people think. So who are your main counterparties, and how do you like how is the dynamic of that relationship?
Yeah, it's a great question, and so sorry to start the response by it depends, but it really depends on the level of exposure they have in the crypto industry. Because
Mm,
let's give the example of a family office that have like let's say one purpose, that is to sustain, over the time, and to protect their wealth over like different generations. Crypto will still represent less than 10% of the rest of their portfolio. So therefore, they don't necessarily have a proper expertise in this field. And most of those players, they will, let's say, rely on their custody provider, or the platform they will hold their assets into. So in a lot of different discussions, we are actually talking through an intermediary. So that's why, what I explained by having this ability to not only provide top notch infrastructure, but make it also very easy and straightforward to integrate with those banks and custody. Few names that I can mention. I mean, like if you think about like a player like BitGo, BitGo is one of the top leading, custodian that is now publicly listed, etc. That have also this, I would say, institutional credibility. So there are lots of institutional players or even family offices. They will go to BitGo directly and say, "Hey, I want to acquire some. I want to invest in digital assets. I want them to be custodied." But then they have like different requirements and mandates, and that's where we partner with those players to basically bring this yield slash data analysis reporting layer that those intermediaries need for their end users. And then, as you said, we also have some players that wants to control all the different flows, and we can offer also white label solutions where we basically provide the infrastructure for them, but everything is set up by the own entity. Some companies, they also want to do that for branding purposes. Let's give a name of or let's say you are like a big payment provider or solution that is specialized in cross-border payments. You want to offer crypto-related services, but this is definitely not your area of expertise, but you want to dig into it. Instead of building on your own, you will work with a player that will give you, like the right infrastructure, but you want to communicate to the world or to the other institutions that now you have skin in the game. So the white label solution is also good for them because they will have their own solution powered by a tier one infrastructure provider. That's a lot also of situation that we encounter here. Don't know if that's answer the question or if you want to dive into it, but yeah.
What I'm hearing is also from your previous answer is that, what started out as a bit as the core offering of staking.
Yeah.
You started building out these different offerings around it that complement it. And now what you really have is like a suite of products that you can, depending on your counterparty and how their specific needs, and like whether how native they are, what they need as far as compliance, what their clients might be asking them. You have all these different solutions to come up with a tailored solution for them. That's a combination of these different offerings, right? That's what I'm hearing, basically. That's what I'm taking away from.
Yeah. If I can also add like something is that when you are like a leading validator, there is also many different ways where you can monetize your infrastructure. And one of the recent example that I can mention here is that without going too technical, but as a validator, let's say on Solana, we can help some, mainly, I mean, like trading desk, market makers, anyone that needs to land large volumes of transaction and where speed and reliability matters. But we, being like a validators, open also options to provide those type of solution that will be basically built on native validator infrastructure, while some players will basically rent some stake to build a fast lending transaction service. That's something that we can do and that we did as a leading validator. Same things goes with data streams. Typically for those type of companies, few milliseconds can represent millions. Having access to data streams milliseconds before it goes on the public routing can be monetized when it comes to trading, arbitrage, or liquidation trade, or any type of activities from those trading desk or high frequency trading, etc. So yeah, I mean, like that's also a different initiative that we run recently, and it was very interesting because it kind of opened also new type of partners and clients, now working with trading desks, some market makers, etc., around topics like how we can land transaction more faster with more reliability, how we can reduce the number of failed transactions, how can we basically improve the RPC reliability, how we can reduce the latencies. That's all those type of questions that we were basically on a very sweet spot to help our clients to respond to that as being like a key infra provider running validators, which is again a proof that running a validator is really at the it's a core feature of the
Yep.
blockchain.
Absolutely. And that's excellent. So what I'm taking from that is, like, as you mentioned earlier, this is a space that is being commoditized to a certain extent.
Right, yeah.
That doesn't mean that uh, you stop competing on technological edge as well. So that still applies. But then at the same time, it's also about the wideness of the suite that you're offering, but at the same time, still like being technologically superior where you can. So that's very insightful, and it's very interesting to hear that's how you maintain your competitiveness, both with like staking providers and among custodians, brokers, exchanges, anything who's active in that space, right?
Mm.
Um, with your from your work, like doing all this, and I can already tell, like you have very like a perspective, like you have access to certain counterparties that you talk with, you see who comes through the door, who's interested, what type of things they're asking for. I always think that's interesting because that provides you a unique perspective on where you can sense that the market is going. And
Mm.
that's what I like to ask, like what are some trends or developments that you are observing from your from your conversations and just from your work in general right now.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting questions, and we can talk about that for hours. I will try. I will make sure
Yeah, we have to keep
to,
it to like top
to
one or
yeah,
two.
yeah, no, definitely. And my position is, I would say, pretty unique, and that's something that I really enjoy. You know, being the head of emerging markets, I have the chance to work with clients from different part of the world, and that
Yeah.
have typically different concern, different level of maturity, and different needs. And I mean, like, think about a company in the UAE where basically they already have a stable financial system in place that is somehow driven by also the sovereign funds that play like a very important role here, and they are like very forward thinking, very innovative, etc. So the what those institutions wants to achieve would be different than a company in, let's say, Nigeria or Argentina or Brazil, where basically you can build the same thing but for completely different purpose. You have countries that basically wants to fight against their hyperinflation, sometimes 40-60% inflation rate. So until you give them and the main purpose would be to have a way to hedge their portfolios with the dollar, and trying to avoid, counterparties that are not fully regulated. Brazil is also a very interesting market because don't know if you're aware of that. A lot of people are pretty shocked to hear those numbers, but Brazilian bonds pays 14 point something percent on the 10-year scale. So that's also something pretty unique for a countries that is, let's say, on the top 10 in terms of their global economy. I mean, like Brazil is, I don't have the word in the numbers in mind in terms of GDP, etc. But that's definitely like a powerful country on the global level. So when you have those, let's say, not just constrained but specific situation, you will build solutions in the chain for different reasons. Sometimes it will be, for the case of Brazil, one of the main purpose will be access for as many people as possible to those financial instruments. For Argentina, Nigeria, even Turkey will be basically fighting against hyperinflations. For countries in the Middle East will be also, growing their global exposure and having and reinforcing their sovereignty in terms of economy on the global scene. So that was just to give some context, but there is one thing that is very recurrent and that goes with the institutional adoption is solving the black box problem. What I mean by that, I mean like until a year or even at, let's say, at the beginning of the DeFi adoptions, most of the company were thinking about, okay, how much yield I can generate, and you don't really think about how sustainable it is, how risky. I mean, like, what is the real level of risk, or at least how measurable the risk can be. So now we are really playing, let's say, a very interesting game with kind of different rules, because institutions come in the play and they want to not only understand what is the nature of the offering, but really what is behind. What is the source of the yields? What is the current flow? What are the protocols that will be used to generate those yields? What is the different type of assets that will be part of the equation, if I can say. And that's what I meant by solving the black box problem.
Yeah.
So that's why now the game is really shifting about providing just an access to yields, but really building the infrastructure or even the platform that institutions can trust and rely on. And that's typically the direction that the market is taking. And without, giving too much information about exactly what we are building, I can say that we are ready.
Okay. That's well, you're definitely giving a strong impression of what direction it's going in. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Like these institutions, they have to be compliant. They need to be able to justify
Mm.
their decision making. So everything needs to be verifiable, it needs to be
Mm.
transparent, and there needs to be clear reporting on what is really going on under the hood. So that makes a lot of sense. Given these trends and these observations that you're making from the market right now, right? What can you say? And I understand you can't maybe talk about specific initiatives and things like that, but what would you say has been the shift in strategy from P2P? If, like, let's say I asked you when you first joined, I believe like
Mm.
5 years ago,
Two,
to
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
let's say you give an impression that you've been there a while, right? But let me, yeah, like I guess for even 2 years ago, it's
Yeah.
still a valid question. Like, how is the strategy at P2P shifting? What's the current focus right now?
Yeah. I mean, like, what I can say, the main thing that also changed is that we move from being reactive to proactive. And now it's not just about building a solution that will be ready for our clients, but to have like kind of a partnered approach. And because what I just explained about solving the black box problem, etc., those clients, they need to we need to sit together with them and understand what they want to achieve in this space and what are their main requirements. Based on that, we can kind of build almost like a custom solution for each of those big players, because
Mm.
depending on the country or depending on the nature of their business, depending on the type of clients they are serving, some of the requirements will be a bit different. So that's really the approach that kind of changed, and that's what the market wants. I mean, like, 2 years ago when I joined, I remember that part of the work was scouting on like the list of VCs that invested in pre-seed or Series A in some of the L1 projects, and offering them to stake their vested assets. And it was very important task and a very interesting business model. But now that the market is way more mature, I would say that we need to solve more sophisticated problem. And this is not something that will come always out of the box. So that's why we need to have a very strong, secure, compliant infrastructure that can fit the market requirements and that is agile enough to serve our clients and partners after understanding what they want to achieve in the space. That's really what changed, I would say, for the main thing that changed within the last 2 years.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? Like
Yeah.
you illustrate it perfectly. Like there's been a very rapid market maturation going on.
Mm.
That means there are different players in the space right now with different requirements. And now it also makes sense what we talked about previously, that you built out this suite that's like so versatile and that allows you to offer like these custom tailored solutions and packages
Yeah.
holistically to like these institutions and their
Yeah.
specific needs. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
But one thing interesting and worth sharing is, and something I'm actually proud about at P2P, and very proud of our team, is all the things that now becomes strict requirements were already in place or ready to be released, even like 2 years plus ago. Talking about the security, and by security, I don't only talk about like being like a SOC 1, SOC 2, Type 1, Type 2 certified, etc. These are pretty much standard things, but all the security mechanisms, enforcement layer, etc., that we had in place, those were the things that were, let's say, competitive advantaged 1-2 years ago, and that sometimes didn't even make the difference, and that was a bit frustrating because it happened that we lost a deal on fees because a client came and said, you know what, we are going to offer 2% fees where we were offering 3-4% fees, but our product was way, I would say, was superior in many different angles. Talking also about our involvement in the different ecosystems. Solana, which is one of the first chain that we started to support. Then second is second largest with Ethereum. We have a Solana Labs. I think we are like part of the only. And sorry, there is some of my fellows and respect competitors that I truly respected. They also have Solana Labs, and I'm mistaken. I don't want to brag, but just want to basically admire my team that built like a Solana Labs, where they were basically scouting, researching all the new innovation and opportunities in this network. Talking about Ethereum, we were one of the pioneer in restaking. At some point, I think, and if before it was like a strong narrative in 24, 25, I think at some point we were like operating 30% plus on Symbiotic and almost 15% on Eigenlayer. And also, and it came out recently, not sure you're familiar with DVT technology, distributed validator technology, kind of security mechanisms and way to enhance validators on Ethereum. And that's something that we started to build, that started to be part of our core Ethereum nodes infrastructure. This has been communicated Q1 by the Ethereum Foundation, that this can become like a standard, because typically you bring more efficiency and more security on your Ethereum nodes. All those things to just to say that, being like almost like a freak in security and building like top infrastructure, didn't, paid off as it should have been because it was
Right.
maybe too early. But at least, guess what? Now we are ready.
That's perfect, right? In a way, yeah, you're ahead of the curve, and sometimes it's frustrating because
Mm,
you notice that the market is not always ready for it. Like we've had similar dynamics where we, from the start, as a research firm, we started saying we're going to do in-depth reporting,
mm,
similar to what's uh, going on in the traditional markets. And a lot of people in crypto just didn't get it. Like 20-page reports. Like, come on, guys! Like,
yeah.
what is this about? And but like now the market is catching up, and as you mentioned, like things start falling into place, and now it starts clicking for people, and it's perfect because you had it ready all the whole time. So
Mm,
it's a very satisfying experience, I'm sure, to finally for you guys to be like reaping the rewards of the things that you had prepared for so long. So
mm.
that must be incredible. um yeah, so it's very clear like what your strategy has been, how you've built that out through like a diversified suite of products that tailors to like the very diverse needs of the very sophisticated players that are entering the space right now. And it's clearly paying off right now, man. It's so I can congratulate you and your team. um I think if people want to find out more and learn more, because there's only so much we can cover in a conversation like this, they can go to p2p.org. And where
Correct. Yeah.
else would you like to point them? What are good resources for people to have and navigate towards?
Yeah, so p2p.org, our website. You can also find P2P on LinkedIn or X. We are also, pretty active here. We like to share also some insights for our community and people that want to connect with me on a personal level. Same, my full name. You can find me on LinkedIn. I can also, I don't know if I can share like a Telegram moniker or X, but yeah, LinkedIn,
Yeah,
Twitter,
feel free.
Telegram. I mean, like WhatsApp for those that are in town here. I mean, like in the UAE, we use a lot of WhatsApp. Sometimes a bit too
Yeah.
much because I mean, like I grew up in Europe, and for me, I mean, like having the telephone number and messaging someone is kind of something very personal. Here, you have like even random real estate agent that are sending you 4 minutes voice message on WhatsApp. Now I kind of get used to it. So yeah, I would say yeah, being a Dubai guy now, I will do WhatsApp. But it's funny because there's some countries that are also very into WhatsApp. In the South America, for example, people use even WhatsApp for business purposes. So
Yeah.
pinging
Yeah.
someone on WhatsApp is pretty common. So yeah, very happy to have more of those conversation and to deep dive either about like industry related things, people that want to consider P2P as a partner. Always very happy to open a dialogue here and deep dive anytime.
Excellent, man. I definitely recommend people do that because it's been a very interesting conversation today. I wish we could continue, but maybe some other time. Um, Ali, thank you for coming on the show, man. I hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed it
thank
as
you for inviting me. That was a very interesting conversation and a pleasure to participate into that. Hopefully more
absolutely.
soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Take
For-
care. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. To our audience, we hope you enjoyed it as well. This was Market Cap, where we feature firms and funds to explore the thinking that guides them, the patterns they observe, and other forces moving in markets. See you on the next Market Cap.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more of our research in the following ways. For in-depth reports, many publicly accessible, join our research platform. For protocol and market summaries and highlights, subscribe to our newsletter. And for our next episode, follow us on X and YouTube. All links in our bio.